So for more insight, we now welcome Dr. Meir Javedanfar, Iran lecturer at Reichman University, and he joins us from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much for joining us. So Israel obviously watching developments very keenly. 4 hours of talks in Rome on Saturday. Iranians describing round 2 as constructive, but not too much reason for either optimism or pessimism. Your reaction so far?
Well, we have not heard the reaction of the American side yet. We've heard the Omanis, we've heard the Iranians, but we've not heard any positive description of the talks in the same manner, in the same positive terms used by the Americans. First and foremost, we have to wait and see what the Americans are going to say about where these talks are heading. And I think that's going to give us more information. But the very fact that the Iranians are continuing with these talks at this point gives the impression, and I have to emphasize the impression, that the U.S. has accepted some limited enrichment on Iranian soil. That's just the impression I get, because I think if the U.S. would have insisted and said no enrichment on Iranian soil, then I think we would have seen a stronger Iranian reaction. But Benita, let's wait and see what the Americans are going to say.
Well, as we wait and see what kind of response will come out of Washington, some of the more hardline coverage in Iran had initially called these indirect talks with the U.S. a humiliation for Donald Trump. How is the latest round being reported, or perceived rather, in Iran itself? What are you learning?
Well, I think the Iranian people are quite happy that these talks are progressing. The Iranian rial has regained a little bit of its value, which is a reversal of the trend that has been going on for a while. I think majority of Iranians want this dispute to be settled one way or another, but they want it settled as soon as possible. People in Iran are desperate for the economy of their country to grow again. The inflationary pressures are crushing the average Iranian consumer. I think everybody's waiting for some good news. And the hardliners, they say anything to protect their position with the Supreme Leader. So when the Supreme Leader was saying he doesn't want to talk with the Americans, they were saying the same. And now that the Supreme Leader has flip-flopped, and rightly so, they're just trying to help him by justifying his new narrative in the Iranian media and in the internet.
And help us understand Russia's role here. The Iranian foreign minister was in Moscow delivering a letter to the Supreme Leader, from the Supreme Leader, rather, to the Russian president. And we know Oman's Sultan Khatim bin Tariq Al Said is expected in Moscow tomorrow. Why? Break it down for us.
Benita, that's a real surprise for me. Why would the Omanis go to meet Russia? The Omanis have very good relations with the Americans, especially since immediately after the fall of the Shah in 1979. For a while, they filled the gap as the protector of U.S. interests in the Persian Gulf. The Omanis have much closer relations with the Americans. Why are they going to Russia? This was really surprising. It shows the important role that Russia is playing, not just on the position of Iran, which is its ally, but also on the Omanis, who are mediators. I think it's possible that one of the solutions being discussed is the shipment of enriched Iranian uranium out of Iran. And the leading enricher of uranium for reactors, for nuclear reactors in the world, is Russia. So I think it is possible that this role is going to be discussed between the Omanis and the Russians. So as a solution to the enriched uranium, which is as high as 60%, that Iran has produced. And I think, meanwhile, we have to be very observant of course, what is happening. But these statements by some Israeli officials that even if the talks succeed, Israel will not be bound and Israel might launch a military strike. I don't take this seriously. I don't think any Israeli government is going to challenge a decision by President Trump.
Well, we certainly will be watching the US and Iran start designing this framework for a new nuclear deal this week. Appreciate your insights. Thank you very much, Dr. Meir Javedanfar in Tel Aviv. Thank you for being with us on I-24 News.